Welcome to Seven Trumpets Prepper. Guys, I don't know if y'all seen the news, but there is a link in the video description below to an article, and also another article, as long as I can fish it out, that explains that many people, once they've gotten coronavirus, that the antibodies or whatever in them can stay with them for a long time to come, hence no need for a vaccine. But yet they still want to push the vaccine thing. The other article that is so important to me, and which actually spawned the making of this video, and happy Sabbath day to everybody who's keeping the Father's Lunisolar Scriptural Biblical Calendar. If you want to learn more about that, you can check it out at worldslastchance.com and the calendar app. With that said, the airlines in Australia are wanting to make certain that no one flies now unless they have had a vaccine for the coronavirus. It is so interesting to me at all the illnesses, viruses, and all the other things that have came and went throughout the history of humanity, and that claim so many lives every year. Everything from the flu, COPD, I mean, you name it, just whatever, just name something. Heart disease, lung cancer, prostate cancer, anything. I mean, just anything. Please, just name anything. Let's start with the biggest killer of the world, abortion. But we don't want to talk about that now, do we? But you know, they want to make certain that everyone has this coronavirus, a vaccine, in order to fly internationally. Now, what I want to explain to you is that if you look at like the Divergent movie series, you look at Hunger Games, I see a worldwide compartmentalization first. But at the same time, I'm seeing nations compartmentalized and broken in sectors too. And the big thing about it is the number one thing that's starting, which now I figured this would be, you know, as being in the way for on this journey for over a decade now, trying to keep the Father's commandments, being converted from this world, and especially looking at Bible prophecy, because that's been like, I'm obsessive compulsive person. So like, you know, with a person with OCD, you get focused on something, you don't put it down. And so, you know, looking at the biblical prophecy of the last days that we're living in, you know, you just see these events start to transition so rapidly. And what gets me though is if you look at the situation with this international flight thing, now other airline, I think this was Australian Airways that was going to start this, but now other airlines in Australia, I guess, were going to follow suit, and of course other countries follow suit behind that at some point. An interesting thing to point out is that if you didn't pay attention to the videos I produced earlier this year during all this madness, especially about Real ID, you'll note that Real ID was one of the few government programs that was ever said they were going to put into place, but yet pushed back a whole calendar year. Now, I think, and please note, I always warn everybody not to think or assume or feel. I always say think or feel, but I think assume is another one. But I would assume, based upon the best information gathered at the time, that the reason that they push back Real ID for a whole calendar year is for exactly this. Because if you look at the driver's license thing, your passport thing, and having the new data put on there that they want so that you can be able to fly internationally, fly at the airport, et cetera, all that, I've been warning people that I think that it's very important that you go ahead and get, you know, if you don't have a passport, go ahead and get it now. If you don't have X, Y, Z, go ahead and get it now. Because if you don't have said items, then you're probably going to be in a pickle later, because that it's not just going to be the documentation they ask for now, like your birth certificate, your social security card, all these proofs of ID. It will be also that you have to have this abomination vaccine. And, you know, I've talked to so many elders, from family members to people I've met local to people, you know, I've met all over this country, the world for that matter. And, you know, elderly people keep pointing out to me they've never seen anything like this. And these are people, you know, pushing upwards 80 plus years. So they've seen a lot, folks, from World War II on. So I think that merits a little bit of stopping to listen to what these people have to say. And with that said, you know, the fact they say they're not going to take this vaccine absolutely reiterates the warnings that I feel in my own being, is not to take it, because the Lucifer race, the stripping of your DNA and inserting RNA that shouldn't be there, etc. You know, we've got to keep in mind that as of the days of Noah, so shall the coming Son of Man be. You have to have modified, transhumanized humans. They may be doing it a different way now, but nevertheless, whenever it was in Noah's day, you have these giants and freaks and genetic hybrids and etc. That wasn't meant to be. And so, that's exactly what's going on now. But the other thing is now I've always tried to look at the mark of the beast in the said manner, is that the man of sin has to have something to do with it. And it ultimately all roads lead back to Rome. And at some point, it's going to be very clear when the reins are handed over to the man of sin in Rome. But I can't show you that today. Okay, I can show you in Scripture where all these defining markers always lead back to the great whore Babylon, the Roman Catholic Church, the man of sin, etc. And then America is the second beast of Revelation, Rome is the first beast. But these two entities are going to be instrumental in the last days and instituting these things. And so it doesn't shock me in the least bit that what's kicking up in America, you see in Australia here already with Airlines, etc. Because right now here it's, wear a mask or no flight. And believe me, that's legit, because I fly all the time to see customers for off-grid work. And, if you don't have a mask on, you can't fly. And so, guys, when I get moved here, I'm about 2 weeks out from everything else being moved out from where I'm at to my new place and the new study. And I can't wait to do more lives with you and discuss so much that's going on, because I'm missing a lot of stuff right now because of moving. So I'm just trying to hit the key highlight stuff as I see it. But this is paramount that you understand that right now, with this push, stop and think. If you're a young person, even in your 20s or less, think to yourself, when in your whole lifetime have you ever heard of such a mess that you can't come and go without said item inside of you? You might have had the flu and you went and took a trip. You might have had a sinus infection. You might have had the chicken pox. I mean, just like all the crap that could be passed on to somebody else. But coronavirus, which has one of the lowest death rates in the world, bar none, is all of a sudden the most paramount thing to address. And that should run red flags up the pole for everyone, that there's more to this than meets the eye. There's more to this, the fact that Real ID got pushed back a whole calendar year. There's more than meets the eye. Look at the election, for example. Just inject politics for just a heartbeat. Is that it's amazing to me how racism all of a sudden died, how that Save the Children's not an issue anymore, and how that government corruption's not a thing. Like all this whale in the world in America all of a sudden, just because this election's passed and the liberals got their agenda. And please note that this year I have officially come to the conclusion I'm neither Republican or Democrat, and really libertarians, where I was kind of at for a long time. I have no interest in politics anymore. This country's going to burn. We are witnessing the end of Rome 2.0, except we got Wi-Fi this time to watch it burn. So, I look forward to Messiah's kingdom coming very soon in the near future. But now a lot of stuff's going to shake out, and one of the biggest things going to shake out is the mark of the beast. And looping back to where I was saying about the Pope and Rome and everything, we're going to have to keep an eye, because at some point people are going to wake up that worshiping on the wrong calendar, worshiping on the wrong day, is giving worship to the beast in Rome. And a lot of people are confused about SAT day worship. A lot of people are confused about SUN day worship, and it's all on the Roman pagan calendar. You've got to lay that aside. You've got to go back to the Father's lunisolar biblical calendar. And forced worship, I have no doubt in my mind, is going to eventually come to a head. There's not a doubt about it. But the other thing is that the mark doesn't just happen here, it happens in the hand. So, a lot of people have been discussing that apparently this vaccine or whatever, it has something in it from, I believe it's stingrays or something in it that is bioluminescent. And so they can check and make sure that you've had this injection or whatever. And so there's just so much that's churning up that, they're under no circumstances should one be going and taking this vaccine. Under no circumstances should be worshiping on a false calendar. And, all these truths are coming forward, and we're going to eventually be to the point where it's no more, well, I don't agree with what Luke said. It's going to be so blatantly obvious, forced upon us, that you're going to have to make a mental decision. And everybody have to make a mental decision. That's why I'm moving back out to the country to disappear. If you notice, I make less and less content anymore. I'm slowly disappearing out of people's lives. I've been doing this systematically for about 1.5 years now. I only have Facebook and YouTube left. as far as even social media goes. I think I get mail so many different places. My address is so many different places. I've made sure to just get everything so jumbled up that I can just disappear one day, hopefully, if all goes well. Guys, I mean, this is some serious stuff, and that airline is already, see, the problem is that for one person that's awakened like me, there's like 100 people that don't give a flip. So they're going to go take a vaccine just so they can fly and visit places. They're going to ruin their DNA, they're going to ruin their blood. And people do not see the ramifications of this until it's too far gone. You know, like my buddy pointed out, Brother Joel pointed out that you only have to change the S in mask to R. You know, there's just one letter. You know, mind conditioning is slow, systematic. It's slow, systematic. Because if you've done everything at once, even the most ignorant of people would awaken to it. But if you keep people ignorant for a systematic time frame, they get lost in the mix. And so, guys, I just wanted to point that out, that if you haven't read that article about the airline company already making a move to this, please start paying attention to time signatures. Please start paying attention to patterns, because you know, the people used to laugh at folks like me for being a prepper. Dude, I'm almost on like prophet status at this point. Not because I claim to be a prophet, not because I want to be a prophet, but because I've told people like XYZ going to happen, and it's like XYZ plus ABC. I mean, it's been actually everything is going pretty much about the rate that I'd expected it right now, where we're at in this time frame in history. And it's going about right on schedule for me. You know, I think that, I'll throw this caveat in and end this video, I think that as soon as Biden goes into office, we'll probably have something kick up, you know, with the situation that 2nd Ezra 16 pans out, Damascus, Egypt, Iraq, and Iran. You know, they will be something serious shakeout over there here in the near future. I have no doubt in my mind that'll be the next big thing in the world. And that'll probably come in the next year or two, and which that also labels the beginning of sorrows. And if you look at Agenda 2030, I have this feeling somewhere between now and 2030, it wouldn't surprise me in the least bit if the Most High y'all don't split the dome and Messiah come back. Now, and I'm not one to try to set dates. I'm just saying, like, at the rate of progression of prophetic events, a lot of stuff could be closed up within the next decade, no doubt about it. You know, these next couple years, we all just really need to be getting our act together. We need to be getting our houses in order. And, you know, I mean, we're at the point now where we don't even have to have a discussion. It is a factual statement that I just dropped on you within the 12 minutes and 56 seconds I've been running this video. Oh, well, I forgot the intro will be added later. But anyway, probably about 13, 14 minute mark right now, that it is a fact statement that airlines are already starting an agenda to make sure that you take an abomination before you can fly. And so, you know, when you start processing that, the fact that you're already starting to be limited to be able to transit this world, it's not going to be long before you're limited to be able to buy and sell and etc. And there's another video coming up soon I'm doing, guys, about the mark of the beast, and that no man might buy nor sell. I really want to do an in-depth show to that, but I'm going to do that on a live at the new place in my new study and break that down in depth, because I think that will hopefully give some light on that matter and help everybody with a better plan and strategy for dealing with it when that comes. But guys, check out the links below. Check it out about the whole immunity thing to the coronavirus before you consider even taking this vaccine, if you're on the fence. And the second thing is, if you don't think that there's some kind of shady business behind this, look at the fact that airlines are already starting to jump in on this agenda and force you to get in the system, or you're not going to be able to take a flight. So guys, as always, till we see you again here at Saving Terms Prep Channel, hope Most High y'all Baruch you, and keep you, make his face shine upon you, show you favor, and give you shalom, my friends. And Yahushua.